This is Professor Tommy Demos, and today I will be demonstrating how to generate a particle based on an image. When you use particle generators that are built into After Effects, you may think that you are restricted to the spheres and to the stars that they give you inside of effects such as Particle Systems 2. But there's actually a way, there's a little trick where you can import an image and then generate particles based on that image. So it will replicate a bunch of them for you and stream them out of a producer origin. So this is very useful, especially if you need a particular type of strange shape or logo to be generated multiple times. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to create a new project, and I'll save this as onto your hard drive under MDC, DIG, and I'll go to in-class exercises, and I'll call this generate shape particles. The first step is to actually create a composition. So I'm going to click on the new comp button, and we'll do a 1920 by 1080 with a black background. That's fine. And the next step is to create a solid layer by right-clicking in the comp timeline, new, solid, and the color is irrelevant. We'll choose white. If we want to rename this, no problem. You can press the return key, and we'll call this the heart particles. Of course, they aren't heart particles yet. We need to make that happen. I'm going to go to Effects and Presets, and instead of Particle Systems 2, we're going to use CC Particle World. So I'm going to grab CC Particle World and throw that on top of heart particles, and you'll see that if we scrub, this looks quite similar to Particle Systems 2 in that it defaults to a sort of yellow-colored, lined, firework-looking explosion that comes out of a producer origin like the Big Bang. There is some gravity already attached to it, and we also have some guides, and we have a floor. So there's a grid here with a floor, and I don't necessarily need that. So I can go to the grid and guides area, properties, and uncheck all of these, including the grid. So I don't need to see that. I can get rid of the horizon. I can even get rid of this axis box. It's not necessary for what I'm doing here. If I were to explore the existing particle options, you'll notice that there's a particle type line, and you can go through star, and I'll change it to star, and we get stars, right? But if we have a particular theme project, like a Valentine's Day project, you'll notice that there are no hearts built in to any of these presets. So there's cool things like tetrahedrons and cubes, but there are no hearts. So to create the hearts, we need to bring in a heart image. I'll bring one in from the hard drive. I'll double click, go to your hard drive, scroll down to MDC, DIG. I'm going to go to DIG, FX, and Comp, and scroll down until I find heart shape, and I'll choose the heart PNG. Open. It's very important that the heart PNG has an alpha channel, which this one does. Otherwise, you will have a square solid color behind it, like a white or a black, which is not good news. So let's go ahead and drag that heart down beneath. Of course, we don't want to see it, the heart itself. I'm going to make it invisible, but the heart is still there as a layer. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the heart particles layer, go to Effect Controls, and scroll down to Particle Type, and this is the thing that's hard to remember. You have to change it to Textured Square, which doesn't make sense because, you know, we're trying to make a heart here, so how are you going to remember square? It's the very first thing at the very bottom section, Textured Square. So Textured Square gives us nothing because it's waiting for us to assign an actual layer to it. So then we have to open up the texture layer and choose texture layer heart. And now we get hearts coming out of a producer origin. And if I hit spacebar, you can tell what it's doing. It is taking that heart shape as a basis and then it is shrinking them down to the producer origin size, and then it's emanating the particles. You can do this with anything. You could do it with a logo. You can do it with a shape, anything you want. This is the fast way to create particles. Now, how do we make them move? Well, because I think it makes sense that these hearts are coming out of the back of something like maybe a flying cherub, or what's it called, Cupid? So I'm not going to bring the Cupid in, but I'll just show you how you can make these things move. It's the same as before. For one thing, it's good to change your transfer mode to screen because they look a little more dimensional when you do that. Also, the birth color, I don't think hearts start out yellow. I think maybe we should change that yellow to like red, and then they become pink. How about that? So we'll do birth color red, and then the death color will be some kind of pink. Let's make this red a little more red. There we go. And we also have to choose some physics options here, like explosive. I don't know about explosive. How about maybe direction axis? How about we change that extra angle? Notice that this is kind of 3D. See how I'm rotating it? I'm going to swing it out to the left side here. How about we get rid of gravity? Maybe we'll make gravity very small, 0.2. Okay. And then we've got to move this point of origin, which we call the producer, over time. So to do that, we take our playhead and move it to the beginning. We take our producer X value and move it to the left. See how it moved over there? There it is. It's on the left side over here now. And then we turn on the position X value. We can even turn on the position Y value. And then it's going to follow my X and Y value changes over time. So how long do we want it to take for these hearts to move across the screen? Well, let's say it takes 4 seconds. So I move forward in time. And by the time we get to 4, I want the X value of the producer to be over here. And maybe the Y value to be up here. Then we run it back, hit the space bar, and you can see the particles coming out. So you can imagine that those particles are following something in the sky that is creating them, right? What else could we do here? Maybe we could change the resistance. Ooh, now we get that nice pink at the tail. So resistance is like you can think of it as a dark matter force that's pushing on the tail and keeping them compressed, all right, so that they don't have as much distance from the origin. We could also change the velocity. That's how much speed they have coming out of the producer. We can also change the longevity. How long do these particles live, right? So the longevity in seconds. So if you put it up to 1, each particle that is generated will live 1 second. The birth rate is how many hearts are created per unit of time, right? So the birth rate, all these things make sense. It's common sense. So I'll go back to the beginning, press play. And I think that the producer hole might be a little big. So I'll go to try to find that. Producer radius. So the X radius and the Y radius. If you want to control these fine tune, we can hold down the command key and scrub. Oh, there we go. So now the Y value is a lot thinner. We can make the X value a little bit bigger. And maybe there's too many hearts, so the birth rate will drop it down to 0.5. And maybe now there's not enough hearts, so we've changed the birth rate up to 1. You guys get how this works? So you can do it with any shape you want, so don't feel like you're limited to only doing spheres or stars. You can import any PNG file. You can do multiple ones, right? So you could have one of these mapped to one kind of heart and another one mapped to another. You can change the color as you see fit.